So welcome to a rather cold, grey and chilly Circuit de Navarra, about 60 kilometres southeast from the historical town of Pamplona in the north of Spain for round 6 of the FIM CEV Repsol. You've already missed out if you just tuned in. A rather exciting mixed condition European Superbike race. We just had the Moto3 European Championship race 1. Now it is time for the future stars of the World Championship, future world champions on display here in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. I'm Luke Wilkins, joining me from MotoGP.com is Harry Lloyd. And Harry, well, when we talk about future world champions, there is no better showcase for them than the Junior Moto3 World Championship. I mean, how many of these riders are going to be in the World Championship next year? How many are already making the step up?
Yes.
Fabio Quartararo is the best, probably, example to take from last year.
Exactly, literally everything about this class. This class, more than any other in this entire series, is about getting talent into the World Championship. And it's, you know, we've seen that next year. Guys like Nicolo Balega, he's already signed to move to the World Championship next year with the VR46 team. Then we have Bo Benschneider, who's racing in this series. Red Bull Rookies, champion, dominated the series. He's signed to move with the factory Red Bull squad next year.
Yeah.
And
I think we're going to see Lorenzo Dalla Porta, obviously. He's got up to the full factory Husqvarna Leglise team, riding for the Junior Leglise team here. You just see so much development from the teams and riders, and this is what it's designed to be. The same with the Moto2 European Championship is. It is a stepping stone. The same bikes, the same rules, more track time to allow them to adjust to the tracks, the bike conditions, and it is really designed to provide them with the best chance ever to graduate to the World Championship, and we are seeing the potential there. I mean, last year I know we've had riders go up, like we talked about Marie Herrera, Fabio Quartararo, what a talent that young Frenchman is as well, all coming from this Junior Moto3 World Championship. And if you actually look back at the past list of CEV Moto3 champions, it's like a who's who of the World Championship. So we're excited, and I mentioned earlier this new British rider of the Championship having just recently turned 14, Red Bull rookie double podium finisher last time out, I believe, young Rory Skinner from Scotland.
Yeah, he's definitely one to watch, you know. Just like in the World Championship, there's a lower age limit, so he's been racing in the pre-Moto3 class, which is, you know, if you really want to get a head start, is you go to pre-Moto3, then you come to the Junior World Championship, and then before you know it, you've had, you know, 5 years of racing at the top level for your age group, and then you're more than prepared for the World Championship, and that's what all these top guys do.
100%, and we were talking obviously to Steve Andrew Martin earlier, and it's just such a big learning curve for young riders to come in, not just learning the circuits, but competing the level, the step up into this Junior Moto3 World Championship is incredible. I mean, some of the lap times from the series last year, you know, were faster than the Moto3 World Championship. These bikes are really on a par, if not more advanced, because they're allowed to do development throughout the season. They get more kilometres over a race weekend. They get 2 testing days before the actual race weekend, so 2 full days of testing, 2 practice sessions on a Friday, 2 qualifying sessions on a Saturday, guarantee over an hour and 20 minutes track time each day, and then the race on the Sunday. Only one Moto3 Junior World Championship race today, and just let's have a quick look actually at the championship for the Moto3 World Championship, because it's one man who's dominating it, Aaron Canet, but Juan Mir, well, we talked about it earlier, definition of win it or bin it. I mean, the guy has either won or crashed.
Yeah, it's clear that Mir has a lot of raw talent. Mir's another one of these guys. He's already been signed to run in that squad next year in the World Championship. And, you know, as you say, he scored 100 points, 4 wins, but unfortunately there's been, you know,
how many DNFs?
falls.
1, 2, 3 DNFs and 4 wins at 7 rounds. So just goes to showcase the kind of talent. But also, as you say, you know, we've seen these guys. I mean, Mir, a great example of one of the races he crashed out was at the Le Mans round, where he started from the back of the grid after a restarted race, made his way into the lead from 27th or 31st on the grid, all the way until as soon as he got in the lead, he crashed out. So, you know, this kid has got potential. But let's have a look at the man on pole. He's a man who has his own fan club in the CEV. Yep. One of the most dedicated fan clubs around. He is hugely popular in Spain. He's so young and so talented. He is Aaron Canet. 131 points, as we say. He's got 3 race wins this season, 2 second place and a third, and only 1 DNF for Aragon in race 2.
Yeah, Canet's...
DNF, sorry, didn't score points, apologies.
Canet's really impressive, and, you know, Fabio Quartararo, who runs that Australia Galicia team in the World Championship, he was unfortunately injured, and lots of people were wondering why Canet wasn't brought up. Canet's another one of them who's too young for the World Championship, but by the time Valencia rolls around, he will be old enough and he will be having a wild card.
Literally just turned 16, I believe. So
along with Balega, so it'll be really interesting to see how both him and Balega go in the full World Championship. Obviously, that Australia Galicia team is the factory Honda team here, you know? Honda use them to gather more information. Parts here aren't frozen like they are in the World Championship, so you can, you know, just chuck new parts at it and see. Here is the other man, Juan Mir, the win it or bin it man, riding for the Leopard Mercado team. Really clearly talented, clearly a lot of raw talent, but I think the word raw is sort of the main thing to take.
Look at that, 5 poles, 4 wins, 4 podiums. And as you say, what first? Crash, crash. First, crash. So second in the championship, trailing by 31 points. as a boss, you could teach someone, as a team boss, to stop crashing. You can't teach them to be quick. It's the old adage in racing. He has pace, doesn't he? And he has pace to spare in completing the front row. Talking of people with pace, we always say how young Jaume Masia looks, because there's no doubting, you know, he is under 5 foot, very small, very young kid, but wow, he's got talent as well. And it's been a great kind of season for him, isn't he? I mean, crashed first lap at Le Mans, we say, apart from that, 8th in Portimao, 9th in Catalonia. You're going to see up here a podium, his first one at Aragon. And was 8th last time at Albacete, so a bit disappointing for him there, but again, real pace, real talent, and just 14 years of age.
Yeah, Stoll, and here's another one with this Australia Galicia squad that Australia Galicia, more than any other, are really designed to bring riders through. Not only do they have a team here and in the World Championship, they also have a team in that pre-Moto3 series that I mentioned.
Yeah.
That runs slightly different bikes, but all designed. There you can see him with the neck warmer on, obviously.
The snood.
Yep.
It's classy. It's cold out there.
Yeah, exactly. It is cold. The neck, one of the few places that it is exposed. So you do actually want to cover that up because, you know, it is little things like that if you are a bit uncomfortable, it can be just that
Huge
momentary
it can be a huge distraction. It can be a moment. It's one of those things you just, obviously, you want as little distractors when you're out there and to get into your rhythm. And then, well, we move on to the second row, and this is a man I know a lot of people are interested in and will be making the step up to the World Championship next year. Nicola Balega, riding for the junior team VR46 Riders Academy, Italian, 15, turning 16 soon, isn't he? And obviously, one man who's a big fan of this guy is Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, Balega had his best result last time out at Albacete with second, really strong. There is a sort of Valentino Rossi atmosphere around him, you know. Just when I was walking around pit lane in the morning, all the photographers flood to him.
He's got
straight
the long
away.
hair,
Yeah.
he's dashing, he's got charisma. There is something about him, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? And I completely agree with you. There is a lot of attention on this young man, and he's got huge potential.
He really does. Here we come to Albert Arenas. He's another one of these guys who's been in this championship for a few years. He's one of the more experienced riders, fresh off a double podium, 3rd in Aragon and 3rd in Albacete again. I reckon he could be on for a really good result here. Again, like Blake, he's one of the slightly physically bigger riders, so, you know, doesn't have too much time left in Moto3, I think, but really quick.
And talking about the teams, we talk about how they use this series to develop the bikes. Part of the Leglise Academy, as we mentioned earlier, like Lorenzo Della Porta, the Husqvarna factory team in the Moto3 World Championships, like the Estrella Galicia team, using this to bring through their young riders and their young bikes, because they are allowed to develop the bikes in this series and they get so many kilometres on them.
Yep, and here we come to Lorenzo Della Porta, the second Italian, obviously. Balega leading that second row, but Della Porta is riding not only in the CV full-time, but also in the Moto3 World Championship full-time. So he doesn't have a weekend off till the CV's last round, which is on the 15th of November in Valencia. Although luckily for him, he will have already raced at Valencia in the World Championship by then.
And hasn't scored a podium this year, was 3rd, I believe, in last year's CV Moto3 Championship. And he's now 18, so he's one of the older riders on the grid, ironically.
But he did have an incredible ride at the Silverstone GP in the World Championship. Started down in 27th, but in the torrid conditions of Silverstone, managed to get through to 8th, which showed a lot of his potential. And here is another one who is fresh off a World Championship appearance. Senna Yamada, one of the oldest riders on the grid. He stepped in to replace Fabio Quartararo in Aragon, had a really respectable ride, you know, doing about the same sort of thing that he'd do here in the CV. He's had a pretty mixed season, you know, 4th in Le Mans.
Yeah, 16 last time out, do you know what I mean? And as you say, oldest run championship, twice Japanese champion, we should mention as well, 2013, 2014. So not a hype about this guy, but completely new circuits to him this year, completely new format championship. So taking that time to adjust, but as you say, covered himself, I thought, in a lot of respect when he went into the World Championship.
Yeah, finished 18th at Aragon, which is, you know, really respectable. You know, there's a lot of riders who've been in that championship for multiple years and are still finding it tough to finish in the top 18. So really good result from Della Porta there.
Okay, now we move on to the first of the Mahindras. Another team, obviously, from the World Championship. That's where Team Mahindra represented here, and that is Aaron Polanco, just 15 years of age. We talk about the the talent the young people bring through. He's from Valencia in Spain, so not that far really away. Riding for the Aspar Team Mahindra, 25th last year, best place finish at 10th in the Algarve, and he's got a 5th last time out, which was by far his best finish of the season.
Yeah, a really interesting moment between him and the team in warm-up is he came into the pits, he said something to the team, one of his mechanics made sort of a dismissive gesture and then sent him straight back out. So clearly the 15-year-old has one or two things to maybe learn.
And he is, look at him there, waving to the camera.
Yes,
this is teammate Marco Bezzecchi, I should apologise.
Yep.
Yeah, the two Mahindras together on the grid.
Yep. Bezzecchi's been really impressive. You know, he stepped into this championship a bit last minute and has scored 2 top 10 finishes on the Mahindra. He's also had some rides in the World Championship, but just a really good result from Bezzecchi, and you know, he's definitely one to watch as well.
Also, riding in the CIV Moto3, he was second last time I checked in the table there, and he's wildcarded at Qatar and Mugello this year in the Moto3 World Championship. So, as you say, you can see the talent on this grid. It is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yep, and again, we just see Carmelo Morales just off camera leaving the grid, but Carmelo Ezpeleta, sorry, not Morales, Carmelo Ezpeleta there checking out the young talent to bring into the World Championship next year as well.
I'm liking this helmet design with the shark teeth on it.
Yes, that is
Tony. Lorenzo would quite like that. Tony Arbolino, number 4 on the SIC 58 San Carlo team, isn't it? The SIC 58 Squadra Corsa team, run by Marco Simoncelli's dad, whose dream it is to make the step up into the World Championship, which they're hoping to do next year.
Yeah, there are some rumours about when the SIC 58 squad will step up to the World Championship, but they've had a really good growth. And you know, it's not just about growing riders; it's also about growing teams.
Scratch marks there straight away on the bike of number 21, which is Vicente Perez racing the Cuna de Campeones team, 17 years old for Mir Racing. They're called this week. Apologies, and one scoring finish really at Le Mans in 18.
Yep, and we've just gotten in the tyre sheet for the top 10. It looks like all of the top 10 have opted for the medium compound front, but then interesting, we have the 2 Mahindras that we looked at of Polanco and Bezzecchi opting for the softer rear tyre compound, so maybe we'll see them make a pretty quick charge through the field at the start.
It's interesting because you'd think with temperatures as they are as low today, the soft option might be the one, if you know what I mean, because it's going to give you the grip and there shouldn't be too much tyre wear. Now, we come to the first of the Asian riders. We have many, don't we, Asian riders in the championship. We have the Asian talent team, but this is Kirill Idem-Paui again, has been wildcarding in the World Championship. Brilliant rider. He's had 3 podiums in the championship. You can see 1 at Le Mans, 2 in Catalunya.
Yeah, the last couple of rounds he struggled a bit, but you know, him struggling is still finishing the top 10 in his rookie season in this championship. And already after only 1 year of racing a Moto3 bike, he's already been looked at for the World Championship next year.
Yeah, and he's a former Asia Dream Cup rider as well, winner in fact back in the day. So let's have a look at the starting grid. It's Canet, Mir, Masia making up row 1, Balega, Arenas and Lorenzo Dalla Porta on row 2.
Yep, then Senna Yamada ahead of Aaron Polanco and Bezzecchi. As we said, Polanco and Bezzecchi both opting for those soft rear tyres. Then it's Tony Arbolino ahead of Vincent Perez, Kirill Idem-Paui ahead of Petrarca and Pizzoli. Dada Pizzoli is his nickname. Then Yuta Date on the Team Asia.
Big Bo Benchnader there, heading up row 6. Bit of a disappointing season really in the CV when he's been obviously winning the Red Bull Rookie Championship this year, crowned at the last round. Guy to Toba, the second Asia Talent team rider there, are starting row 7, Martin Van Haren, and there is young Rory Skinner, 21st on the grid, but 4th in wet warm-up this morning.
Yep, and Enzo Bullon ahead of Lawson Waters and Adam Norridon, with David Sanchez starting that row there.
I think it was Loic Cresson and Nunes Sanchez, as you say, finishing the rest of the grid. And there is Carmelo Ezpeleta looking at the future of talent coming through into his World Championship. This is, Dorna obviously set up the FOM-CV Repsol to help promote young talent. It's designed to be the perfect stepping stone as the riders head off on their warm-up lap. Now, conditions, let's just recap here, because temperatures outside probably about 13, 14 degrees. It's not exactly warm, which is very unusual for this time of year in Spain. It's been, yesterday was up to 23 degrees here at the circuit. So settings, as you said earlier, completely thrown out the window pretty much.
Yeah, very much so. Some of these guys, warm-up was wet. It was starting to dry for Moto3, but some of these guys, like One Min did not even go out and warm up. His bike was being completely stripped apart. So we'll have to keep an eye on how he does. Maybe there's one or two gremlins hiding in that engine. But right now it seems okay. All of the teams are still stood in pit lane, waiting with starters and spare tyres just in case there's any problems. But it looks like the rain will hopefully hold on through.
It does look completely dry up there, doesn't it? There's not even any damp patches on the track whatsoever now. But are we going to see it? Well, I think we might be okay, especially for the first few laps. It's not like it's going to rain for the next 10 or 15 minutes, but there are some ominous clouds around in the background. And one of the reasons in Navarra, we are right near one of the big mountain ranges in Spain, so you can get weather come in quite quickly. And as I've found, I think, on the CV, going around commentating in different areas, it's quite easy for them to have little microclimates around the circuits, because they're not in cities, they're not near any big major commercial areas, so it's quite out, and the weather can change very, very quickly.
Yeah, it really can. And here we go. We see all the riders a bit less tiptoey than we've seen in the previous 2 races. Obviously, in both the Superbike and the Moto2 race, conditions were a lot sketchier than this. It seems like the Moto3 guys are a bit more confident in the conditions, but it's still going to be hard because the track's still going to be very, very cold.
No, it's interesting as well, talking about this, just touching back on that, we were talking to the guys from Racing Steps Foundation today, weren't they? Came and found us in the media centre and was letting us know exactly what the plans are. Talking about the future of British riders, obviously Danny Kent at the moment in Moto3 World Championship, leading the championship, looking like a Grand Champion, first British World Champion since Barry Sheene back in 1977, but there's a bit of a gap really to the next young talented rider. You have John McPhee in Moto3, Rory is that next potential, really, and I hate to put pressure on him because he's a great young kid, I'm not trying to put pressure on him, he really does. When you see him ride today, he knows how to race, he's got the talent, he's 14 years of age, Aprilia Super Team winner, Red Bull Rookies, say double podium, he's been in the pre-Moto3 Championship this season, having a great year. Watch out for him for 21st.
Yeah, and you know, Rory is coming off 2 really good results. He started from pole in Aragon for the rookies race and then got 2 podiums. So he's riding the crest of a wave. It's still his first weekend here, so you know expectations are quite limited. It's the first time he's on that particular bike. It's the first time riding this circuit, and he has shown in places like the Red Bull Rookies where when he does know a circuit from racing in the pre-Moto3 class, that he can be right up there.
Well, as we saw, as you say, in the last Red Bull Rookies round, it was a case of, because he'd ridden at that track before, bang, on the podium instead of circulating around 15th, 16th. So, they're lining up on the grid. This is your only Moto3 Junior World Championship race for today. Let's have a little quick run through the front row. It's Aaron Canet from One and Jaume Masia, Balega, Arenas and Dalla Porta, row 2. The lights will come on when they go out. We're underway in the Moto3 Junior World Championship race. A terrible start from Mir, who goes sideways off the lights, but Canet, brilliant, slicing across the front of the field. Surely he's going to lead into turn 1 from, it looks like, his teammate Masia.
Yeah, Masia obviously using his size there to his advantage, able to slip up. It looks like Masia is going to challenge
almost
for the
making
lead.
a move up into turn 2. Look at that already at the front. And Mir maybe actually recovering a bit, giving Senna Yamada a bit of a knock there.
Really good start from Senna Yamada there. Mir going strong to just defend there, and also an excellent start from Balega.
And as you can see, fighting through the first few set corners, everyone looks through cleanly, which is great, which is always good to see because it's so many bikes coming through these tight, twisty start of the course.
Yeah, and that is one of the characteristics of Navarra, is there are so many tight and slow corners, and in a class like Moto3 where there are so many riders and so many eager riders.
A huge moment! Oh my goodness, sorry, that was a massive high side. I hope he's going to be okay because there was a number of riders that might have been caught up behind him.
It looks like there was a fair bit of debris kicked off that.
I think we might be seeing a red flag.
Get a replay of that.
Who was that went down? We'll have to wait and see as it comes up.
Oh, that's Dalla Porta who's gone down there.
It's Dalla Porta.
He's
being
up
helped
and
off.
walking, but yeah, he's being helped off. So
that was a horrible looking moment, especially in the middle of the pack there. So Dalla Porta, one of the riders in the World Championship we talked about for that junior Leglise Academy team, but it looks like, although he's holding his wrist,
yeah, maybe an issue with his arm or wrist there, but for the most part, he does seem okay. Obviously, we'll bring you updates when we do get them, but luckily he is up and walking. That is, you know, one of the major concerns, especially as you say, when it is mid-pack. The yellow flags are out, so riders, when they do come around to that corner, will have to be careful. No overtaking under yellows.
And here we go. So at the start, it's Canet from Masia with Balega now into third ahead of One Mir and Reynolds, Dalla Porta's teammate, moving up into fifth. Kieran Powie, sixth. Perez seventh. Yamada 8th, Palenko 9th, and Arbolino in 10th.
Yep, solid start from a lot of men. Canet really strong. All of those top 3 guys setting pretty much identical times in those first sectors as they complete their first lap. You know, that top 5 all pretty much together. Mir's a tiny bit back, but that gap will be closed up almost immediately.
Yeah, and it's interesting, as you say, the top 5 there, and you see Perez and Powie just to try and kind of get involved, not let them get away too much. Oh, and there's a big moment there. Was that from Masia?
Bit of a mistake there from Masia, running fairly wide. Now it's the biggest rider in the class, the smallest rider in the class. This is actually a battle we've seen a lot between Balega and between Masia. Masia is able to just sit with Balega no matter what, because Balega opens up such a big slipstream.
At least half. Seriously, half of the weight now. I'm guessing Balega's probably about 50, 60 kilos. Mir's probably about 25, 30, that line. And on the straight, you can imagine that gives him a massive advantage. But Mir as well, getting involved in this back of group of 5. And I think we've got Arenas and Mir. This is the 5 we probably thought would be dicing for the lead.
Yeah, certainly. And a bit of dust being kicked up there. That's probably just one of the recovery vehicles driving in front of the camera. Yeah,
exactly that. Great shout, because it's coming across. That's going to be distracting for riders, especially as they come under braking. So, but it is that front 5, nothing really separating them there. And it's Canet, though, who leads from Balega with Masia in third. Canet desperate to try and do his usual, really, and break away at the front.
Yeah, and that is something that these riders behind have to be careful of, is if Balega can't stick with Canet, is that Canet could very easily get away. Balega can make himself so wide because he is so big with his elbows out, so it'll be tricky for these guys behind.
Yeah, I mean, Balega's limbs are twice the size of Masia's. He puts a leg out and takes him off the track. And let's have a little look. We've got Perez is just over 2 seconds back from this group.
Issue for the Australian Josh Waters there. Lawson Waters, sorry. Very unfortunate for him. He's had a pretty tough season.
Looks like he's had a crash. His fairing's hanging off a little bit there. Yeah, he's gone down. So it's been a tough season for Lawson, isn't it? He's not had the best times. You're obviously being an Australian yourself. I'm not going to rub it in too much because you mentioned the rugby from last night, so we'll move on very, very swiftly. But as they come across the line, it's complete lap 2. It's Canet from Belega with Masia. Less than half a second separating the top 3 with Arenas within a second of Canet as he crosses the line in 4th. Mir 5th. Perez 2 seconds further back in 6th. So definitely the front 5 getting away. Is that Belega looking to make a move on?
Yeah, it looked like Belega had just slipped through turn 1, but then Canet was straight back. And it looks like Messia's just pretty happily watching. Here comes
look at Belega. He's so aggressive, isn't it? Brilliant. Comes down, so can he get it stopped or will... No, it's going to run wide. He's going to run wide.
Very wide there, very, very wide. But he cuts it back.
But look at Mir as well. Mir into 3rd place. Sneaking up the inside and giving Messia a little bit of elbow bashing, I believe.
Yeah, Mir's definitely making a bit of a charge here. Belega here.
And Arenas through as well, sorry, into 4th place. So poor Messi has dropped back to 5th in like 2 sets of corners.
And that's the wonder of Moto3 is that, you know, it is every corner there's action because, you know, all these guys, you open up the door and there's 3 more guys saying thank you very much. It looks like Arenas trying to get through on Mir, but just having a bit of a look for now.
And just a little update on Rory Skinner, the British rider, comes from 21st on the grid into 16th already, only 8 seconds behind these guys, and that in the 1:48. So about 1.5 seconds slower than leaders, but that's brilliant on his debut, outperforming his teammate Martin Van Horen, who's in 21st. And they're both on an FTR KTM for the KRP team, I should say.
Yeah, really good result there from Skinner, really good start, and it's all about building confidence for these little riders. But right now, this lead at the start, 5 riders all elbow together. Now watch for Messia as we begin to build up for the straight, because with 4 riders in front of him, you know, any rider is going to be able to just absolutely zoom past, especially when you're a paperweight like Messia.
Well, it's like we talk about Danny Pedrosa in the MotoGP World Championship, famous for great starts because of his size. It's not just, obviously, on these bikes, the starts that it's an advantage, slipstream.
Canet perfectly lining up the slipstream there to get past Belega, ready for turn 1. Turn 1 and incredibly fast. Barely even roll off on a Moto3 bike through turn 1. There we are. Now into the tight turn 2, which tightens up even further into turn 3. So Belega managing to just keep his advantage there.
Really sticking his knee out as much as he possibly could and his leg out to try and stop anyone coming up the inside of him. These two actually look at the front, they could maybe have a little breakaway. Again though, I think you're right, because Belega's slipstream's so big, you can get half the field in behind him, couldn't you? That's such a disadvantage in Moto3 as you grow older, and we see it in so many riders. They have a season with absolutely superb, and then the next year they're just too big for it, aren't they? Too big a disadvantage, we say. Oh, but there's Arenas just stuffing it up the inside of Messia for 4th after Messia passing on the
Canet going up the inside, but Belega coming back around slightly wider line, almost taking off Canet's nose. Have to be really careful with moves like that because, you know, not only would take the other guy down, but having a bike run into the side of you, not good for you staying up either. Canet looking up the inside again, but no, Belega just getting a tiny bit more corner speed.
And Kyle Powie in 7th, him and Perez leading the charge to catch this group. And they are dropping back slightly. They're not quite lapping at the same speed as these guys, but interesting if they could possibly get on the back of this. A nice battle though for 6th starting there. But yeah, these front 5, look at them, they're pulling away really just on it. And it's all over. So here comes Canet up the inside of Belega, a completely different line for them. But surely Belega will cut back and get on the power earlier.
Oh, maybe no, it looks like Canet just holds it, Belega. Maybe just going to line up, try and do something down the straight, just keep close on the straight, and then do something into that turn 1, 2, 3 combination that we've seen, where you can really block the other guys. Because all the corners are so tight here, you get it parked mid-corner, no one's getting past you.
It's not about momentum. You see so much in Moto3. Here, as you say, there are so many points where they're down into 2nd and 1st gear. Definitely 2nd gear on the Moto3 bike, I should imagine. I'm sure it's first in the Superbike Moto2. But the real slow parts, so it's so different to the long sweeping corners you see.
There was Belega having a look, Belega not quite able to, but maybe he'll try something, taking a bit of a different line into turn 3, but
definitely gone tighter through there. It's interesting. He seems to be able to turn that bike.
Just nothing on Canet. It looks like Canet's starting to push a bit of a gap, about a 1/4 of a second gap now. With, it's starting to open up this group. Messia about 0.9 of a second back from Canet at the lead of this group. But Mir makes an excellent move up the inside on Belega.
Wow, that was aggressive. And that's, you know, brilliant move from Mir. As we know, he is the classic win it or bin it. He is now going to try and head off because he could just see Canet starting to gap them at the front.
And it looks like Arenas is now looking for a way through on Belega. That's the other thing, is that, you know, 1 or 2 corners, your rhythm's a bit upset. Now there's, you know, 4 riders trying to take you. So a really strong ride from this front group. Belega coming back on the inside, but no.
Back straight, didn't quite make it move and lose a bit of momentum there, as you say, because he's having to get on the brakes and miss the line much. And look at Canet, just starting to open up a gap at the front. It's 3/10. He needs to probably get a second gap to get out of the slipstream, I should imagine. But yeah, it's interesting that he's managing to do that. Well, these three are tripping themselves up a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even though Mir is slightly ahead of Belega, Mir's starting to alter his line so that Belega can't get through. He's altering his lines from what would be the ideal.
Yeah.
So even though, you know, it's not Belega trying to slam it up the inside in every corner, it's still
He's having to ride
yeah.
defensively, and that would take a couple of tenths off his lap time, definitely. Canet then on that last lap round at 1:46.3, he's, you know, a couple of tenths quicker than everyone else. If he can carry that up, he will pull away, but this is his problem. They come down to complete lap number 5.
Yeah, and these lap times of about the 146s for most of these top riders is pretty much what we expect from race pace based on yesterday. It's maybe a couple of tenths slower, but it does seem like track conditions are continuing to improve. And here we see him go again through turn
We
one.
see that Canet on that last lap set at 1:45.7, Mir at 1:45.7. So 400ths of a second separating on the lap time. They're obviously the same pace. It's going to be very hard for Canet to break away. But it does look visually like he's doing that. And Belega, there, as you say, just trying to get his way back on Mir, not quite got the pace yet.
Yeah, Canet really starting to stretch it. What's quite interesting is that all the races we've seen Mir either win or crash out of is, apart from the one in the long range charge from the back of the grid, is Mir has had a really solid lead when he's crashed or when he's won. But here he's having to really try and catch up, which is something we haven't seen him do too much in just his limited time.
Yeah, battling through the field, as you say, is not something we see massively. Say Canet setting the fastest lap last time around a 1:45.737. It's interesting, these guys have opened up quite a big gap now in the top 5. Massia just dropping off the back of this, 7 tenths he is now off the back of this group of the front 4.
Yeah, and you can visually see that on the TV as well, that Massia is now just slightly out of touching distance, just as, you know, Canet is starting to break away. Having said that, the gap has closed slightly.
Brilliant he is here for the British fans. Rory Skinner on his debut, up into a points group position, into 15th, starting from 21st in the grid, and only in 1.5 seconds behind Yuta Date. Yeah, he's talented rider ahead of him, so looking to try and get, and he's lapping 3/10 a second quicker than that ahead of him. So really brilliant performance here from Skinner.
Yeah, Skinner setting the same lap times as Senna Yamada, who is a 10th. Strong rise from Senna Yamada, just behind Tony Arbolino.
Canet has opened up a 0.6 gap at the front of this field. Mir just struggling to keep with the Spaniards. So it's interesting, isn't it? This definite visual gap there. Now they're at the slipstream there. If he can carry on, just lapping a couple of tenths, he could break away here. But we'll have to wait and see, because look, Massia, he's definitely dropped off the back of the group. But here comes Belega. Oh, the inside of Mir. There's really no braking there, is there, at all? It's just roll off and try not to hit someone.
Nah, and with Canet now 0.9 of a second ahead, that's when the slipstream, you no longer feel the benefit of the slipstream. Most people think you have to be within about 0.3, 0.4 of a second to feel the slipstream, and obviously much closer for it to have a huge effect. So that's good for Canet, that is no longer dragging Mir down the straight, but obviously very bad for Mir, because the slipstream can help a lot with these small single-cylinder bikes.
Definitely, and as you say, you can't underestimate at some circuits the impact it can have. It can be a second lap. You know, I know, for instance, at Aragon recently, there was 4 slipstream areas in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. It was easily that, wasn't it? You know, when they were qualifying, even if you didn't have a slipstream setting your fastest lap, you're going to have no chance of being on the front row. So here we go then, Canet, as we say, breaking away at the front from Mir, who can't shake off the attention of Belega without Arena. It's a great ride there on the Junior League.
There we go, Belega up the inside. Will Mir be able to do it? Looks like he's trying to line something up.
Back.
Yeah, really nice from there, but Belega's carrying a lot more corner speed, but
you should try it on the inside here. No, as you said, it's one of those corners where you can just park it on the apex almost, isn't it?
Yeah, and that is the other thing here, is that a lot of these corners do flow directly into each other. So sure, you can overtake in one corner, but then the second corner, your rival's going to be setting up to take you in the third corner.
They get to fight back. And look, Canet, as you said, that gap now actually over a second according to our timing screen. So really pulling away at the front, and these lot obviously battling is just going to be holding themselves up and allowing Canet to escape at the front, which, well, Mir's championship hopes don't rely on obviously beating Canet in every race, but with a 31-point advantage, he's got to start thinking about that.
Yeah, Mir really needs to win this race, to be honest. You know, he really does need to start chipping away at Canet at every chance he can, because if Canet does win this, as Belega slips up the inside, he's been trying that move for a fair few times, but now hopefully Belega will just be able to defend through these tight
here
two
comes
corners.
Mir. I thought he was going to go around the outside.
Forcing Mir wide.
Then.
Nice from Belega there to force Mir a bit wide, but can he hold it into turn 5?
He just loses out on that strut because of his size, isn't he, Blake? You could see every time coming out of the corner, no matter what bike it is behind him, it's not down to the fact on obviously which machine he's on, just seems to just a little bit slower because he's got that extra weight to shift, and he's breaking the air at the moment, obviously.
Yeah, so Belega doing really well to hold up Mir, but unfortunately for Mir and for Belega, is that this is allowing Canet to now stretch ahead even more. His gap now 1.2 seconds ahead.
Well, if they were to stay as it is now, Canet would have a 40-point lead with only 4 rounds to go, which, as we know in this, where there is probably a group of 6 or 7 who seem to break away at the start of every race, means he can effectively finish 4th, 5th and just not worry about the podium for the last few races. So, this would be a huge win for Canet, and Mir knows that. The biggest thing Mir's got to do now is not chuck the bike down the road and stay on it and take his first non-win maybe of the season, because he's say if he hasn't won, he hasn't finished.
Yeah, I mean, right now, looking at the pace and just looking at how the riders are spread out, it would take a pretty big mistake from Canet to lose that lead. Canet down in the 145s because everyone else is in the 146s.
Unbelievable. They've got Torres, Rory Skinner's gone past Udadate and Lorenzo Petrarca, guys with years of experience in this that they've raced the whole season. The 14-year-old British rider up into 13th. He's got 4 seconds between him and the man in front of him, Stefano Valtellini. Now, if he can close that as he did with the other guys, that's very, very impressive. Still lapping about 1.5 seconds behind the leaders, but great work from the young British rider. So it is, as they come across complete lap 9, it's Canet from Balega, sorry, lap 8, Canet from Balega, from Mir, from Arenas from Garcia, with Powie in 6th.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe Balega's just broken Mir a tiny bit, that gap opening up to 1 or 2 bike lengths. Yeah,
and it looks like Arenas just starting to drop off the back of this group as well. We saw Masia drop off, just couldn't quite keep up with it. He's now actually 3 seconds behind this group, 3.5 seconds. Kyle Powie 9 seconds back from the leader in 6th, leading that chase. The battle, really I say the second is probably the 3rd or 4th group battle now. But yeah, Arenas, great ride from him in 4th, but just second now behind Mir and starting to drop off rapidly.
Yeah, some strong rides throughout the field, Udadate up into points, that'd be a really good result from him. And meanwhile, Kota Toba just outside the points, battling with his teammate Adam Norridon, so a good result for them.
Oh, and that is Rory Skinner. I don't believe it. We were saying what a brilliant race he's been having, and it looks like the young British rider's gone down.
Oh, looks like it was a fast front-end crash by the looks of that. Just sliding off, luckily unhurt.
Unhurt. That's so bad. In turn 14, the young British rider covered 21st to 13th and was going so much quicker than the guys in front of him. But you know what? He's 14 years of age. It was his first race. Excitement. I'm not saying it's got too much for him, but this is expected when they're that age. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. As you say, we were speaking to the team, and that they were hoping for a race finish, but certainly the speed is shown. He knows that's there, and now it'll be calm down, regroup for the
What impressed me so much about Rory, he's quick in qualifying, quick in warm-up, but it's in a race situation where he just seems to be able to turn it on, and all the best riders in the world do that. And as you saw, he was putting in times much quicker than he's shown we can. Devastating for him to crash out from 13th. But let's get back to this battle at the front. And you're right, Mir just hanging in there with Balega. Looks like he could be starting to separate, and unusually from Moto3 racing, the field spread out a bit. Yeah,
Balega, of that top 3, Balega was the fastest that lap with a 146.1, and both Mir and Canet were 146.2s. So maybe Balega's been saving a little something. As we said at the start, all of those top 3 riders are on the same tyres, medium front, medium rear, which is pretty much what we see in every Moto3 race, be it here or in the World Championship.
And it was Bezecchi on the soft, wasn't it? And he's in 10th place. He was mentioned, I know it's not
Polanco as well, who's in 8th.
So yeah, maybe not the worst choice to go with the soft, but it looks like the medium's doing the job for these guys. And Mir not giving up on Balega, is he?
No, he's certainly
regrouping and coming back at him.
And yeah, because in Mir's position, 4 points is a pretty big difference. So getting ahead of Balega is pretty much exactly what he wants. By now he probably realises that with 8 laps to go, it is going to be hard to catch Canet, but obviously he as the rider knows a lot more than we do, so maybe he knows that on worn tyres he can really put it on.
It's going to be interesting because, as you say, we expected conditions to be heating up later. This is the only race Moto3 today for Moto2 and Superbike, but it's still looking very cold out there. So I think that's the biggest thing that these riders having to do. They're adjusting to the conditions on the fly, aren't they? And that's why we're seeing the times improve throughout the race as they get used to it, they get used more to the circuit in these conditions. And yeah, it's interesting to see how they have spread out. I mean, the field now separated by, down to 22nd, almost 50 seconds. But you've got your top 4 within 3 seconds of each other, and your top 3 within 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, it is really close. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with me. He seems to be able to stick with him, but not close the gap.
Yeah, see, look how much he closed on the braking into that corner, but then, yeah, he just doesn't seem to get close enough to pass. So, going about Rory Skinner further down the field, but let's have a look, as you mentioned, Udadate. Now, the last time out, 3 Asian talent team riders all scored points, I believe, in Albacete in the race 2. It's the first of the season they've done that. Udadate in 15th, we have Kaito Toba in 19th, Adam Norridon just behind him in 20th. That's the Asian talent team, 3 riders selected from the Shell Advance Asian Talent Cup to come over here and ride as a team full season. And brilliant job that they do as well. Very fresh.
Mir looking up the inside of Belega, but Belega just manages to defend. Now Mir looks round the outside, but
there's no way around the outside there, surely.
now try and line something up into turns 5 and 6 as we go uphill here. But I don't know if he'll be able to do it. Belega able to keep quite a tight line through there and just ride really defensive. But
here we go, look at that. Just as we thought, there's no way he's going to do it. But surely Belega will get him on the gas. No, as you said, he's parked it on the racing line. No way through from Belega through that chicane. And Belega now having to slow break through these set corners, trying to take a wider line to carry more momentum onto the straight, but I don't think he's going to have anything to get there. Going the back straight now. Look, he calls out the slipstream, but he's so big, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to try something into turn 9. He does get ahead of him, but can Mir respond with a tighter line? It looks like Belega's a bit wide.
No, this is great stuff from these two, but all the while this is playing into Aaron Cannett's hands at the front. The championship leader just thinking, rubbing his hands in glee, going, you boys carry on fighting, let me go. And as he likes to ride off at the front on his own.
Exactly, yeah. You know, for him, it's been quite a tranquil ride. You know, 1.5 seconds ahead, pretty solid margin. While these two are battling, you know, I'm sure his pit board is keeping him really well informed of what's going on behind him, and his team are just telling him, you know, keep cool. The two behind you are battling. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, he just needs to, as you say, he's lapping consistently. Well, they're about. I mean, Mir, that last lap was actually quicker than Canet, but he's established that 1.5 second gap, and he's just keeping it there, isn't he? He's keeping it steady. It's very well managed here. So now Mir really almost avoiding the slipstream from Belega, and he might have done himself a disservice because he seems to have dropped quite a bit behind him, which is where he needs obviously the slipstream advantage to help him close the gap. And Belega, yeah, he's rapid down there through turn 1.
Mir and Belega setting identical times of 1:46.406 last lap.
That's incredible. Just goes to show how evenly matched they are despite their size difference and yeah, different machinery. That's brilliant.
But unfortunately for them, that was still 0.3 of a second slower than Canet's lap. So this battle clearly not helping them, but it's only those top 3 who are still in the 1:46 barrier. 1.6 second lead we see there for Canet, so still pretty comfortable as the laps do start to really tick down now.
And worth pointing out, obviously, Canet and Mir both on Hondas, while Belega's on the KTM. So they're very different, but we've seen, obviously, in the World Championship as well, how close, though, the two manufacturers are now in the Moto3 World Championship and in this Junior Moto3 World Championship. But it's, you know, it's interesting where you see it has different advantages, different strengths, pulling out the corner. For instance, the KTM seems to have a little bit more advantage. The Honda looks a bit better under braking. But yeah, these two very evenly matched. But Canet, now his gap up to 1.5 seconds. He's probably counting down the laps, isn't he?
Yeah, you'd really start to think so, that now it's not so much about extending his lead, but now it's just about maintaining and staying safe on that bike. You know, not having any issues. Belega there, however, setting the fastest second sector of the race with a 37.7 through sector 2. So it looks like Belega's starting to push. 1.3 seconds, 5 laps to go. It's doable, but he's really going to have to pull something out.
It's taken a couple of tenths literally just in that 1 sector. Now this is where Belega's probably thinking, okay, I've got used to the conditions, I've got used to the setup of the bike, the tyres are fine, let's try this. Because what's he got to lose really at the end of the day? He's not, although he's third in the championship, he's, you know, he's 46 points behind Canet, so it's hard for him to really get involved. He'll still fancy his chances, obviously, he's going to write him off. But obviously a lot of his focus will switch to next year, so now for him it's a bit of a do or die. Why not go for this? Why not?
1.4, you know, that's pretty solid. Here we see the group behind.
What a battle.
Tony Arbolino leading the battle for 6th with Pizzoli just behind, but then it's Yamada, Powie, Bezzecchi and Polanco all in there. Valtellini just at the back.
4 abreast coming down the
classic Moto3 action. The two Mahindras going right against each other. Solid stuff there as Bezzecchi leads Polanco with Valtellini just behind. Then it's Japan versus Malaysia. Senna Yamada leads Kyril Idam Powie.
That's brilliant stuff, isn't it? And as you say, Yamada there Powie with Bezzecchi. So it's Japan, Malaysia, Italy, all in one go there. Brilliant international flavour of the Junior Moto3 World Championship.
Yeah, a really solid ride here from Yamada. This is one of the best rides we've seen from Yamada in the year. You know, in Le Mans he had a really good ride. Obviously the conditions there were a bit crazy, but clearly that extra time in the World's Championship helping him.
Powie just got done at the inside there by Bezzecchi, and you're right actually when you talk about Yamada, it's confidence, isn't it? Suddenly stepping up to the world platform, putting in a decent ride there makes you think, oh, I can mix it with the best. So, you know, and these is pretty much the best is what we have in the CEV. So, yeah, definite huge amount of confidence. As you say, Valtellini here. Yeah, sorry, Arbolino, not Valtellini.
Yeah, really good ride here from Arbolino. You know, Arbolino's best result so far has been 11th this year, and only scored points on a couple of other occasions. So a really good result for the young Italian.
Yeah, and as you say, it's great to see these rides coming on throughout the season. You mentioned earlier, actually, it was Bezzecchi, and it was on the soft again. I keep forgetting, it was terrible.
It was Bezzecchi and Polanco.
Polanco now just starting to drop through the field down to 12th, well, Bezzecchi's second to 9th. But this is all involved in this battle here. So brilliant battle for 6th and a battle for 8th going on just behind them. And at the front, Canet's lead. Balega is closing it. Balega has reduced the gap to 1 second as they completed the 13th lap.
Balega 0.3 of a second faster. 4 laps to go, 1 second. It's doable, but it's going to be hard. And here we see Messia maybe even dropping into the clutches of Arbolino and Pozzoli.
Yeah, Messia, it just seems to be going back. It's kind of unusual. We have seen this from him before, though. Brilliant start, at the start of the race. Maybe it's just not got the strength as the race goes on. Maybe it's just used up his tyres, I'm not sure. But yeah, it looks like Pozzoli looking to make a move on Arbolino here. He's sized him up beautifully. Yeah, in front, Balega again taking another 10th out of Canet. This could be very interesting with 4 laps for free after this to go.
Yeah, and this is the great thing about Moto3, that not only are there great battles at the start, as Pozzoli goes up the inside of Tony Arbolino, really great move there, and defends his line beautifully. But as I was saying, that is the great thing about Moto3, is that not only do you have great battles for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, you also have excellent battles throughout the field. Great battle here for 6th, great battle for 8th, and just the entire way, it's really, really close fight.
As you say, if you look down the time screens, there are battles throughout the field, and there Pozzoli and Arbolino, as you say, making sure Pozzoli cutting across his front there, just the kind of excellent entrances to the corner, I should say.
Balega making some big inroads now at the front. The gap is under 0.8 of a second. It's now 0.7, and Balega has been 0.2 faster in both those sectors. Yeah. So a really good ride from the Italian. The Italian dropping back into the 145s, whereas both Canet and Mir are now still in the 146s. Mir is now almost 2 seconds behind Canet.
This gap at the front actually visually getting a lot smaller, just so you know, Riskin didn't manage to rejoin the race, unfortunately. So running around to the back is Nunez in 22nd place, a bit of 10 behind these guys. So we're still on the battle for 6th here with Pozzoli and Arbolino, and that's the battle for 7th and 8th just behind them. It looks like Powie, Valtellini, Polanco all getting involved there, but at the front is this man Canet, and you can see Balega's, oh look at the gap, he's reduced it massively. 0.8 of a second according to the timing screens.
3 laps to go, it's still all in play. It's Balega's definitely much more rapid. Maybe he saved his tyres a bit, maybe the KTM's just a lot stronger with a lower fuel load, maybe Canet's cooked his tyres a bit.
He was 3/10 quicker on that last lap round, again the only rider in the 145s, and there's 7/10 in it, 3 laps to go. Well, this doesn't get more dramatic than this, does it? This is how we like a Moto3 race to end. We've got Balega hunting down Canet at the front. Could again have huge impact to the championship. If Balega could get in front of him, then he'd only be Mir would only be losing 4 points to Canet instead of 9, which is currently standing.
Yeah, but with Balega putting in such a good ride, Mir now has to start worrying about Balega taking second from him.
What is he? 5 points behind him in the championship. So realistically, Balega actually saying that his championship aspirations aren't over. May not be as
they're not likely, but it's certainly mathematically, all it takes is 1 DNF from someone like Canet, and then the championship is not open not only for Mir but also for Balega.
Okay, Balega's taken another 2/10 out of the first 2 seconds.
0.6 now.
This is interesting. I reckon he's just going to be getting onto his back wheel as they start the last lap. So, no Balega, I reckon he might make a move. But we'll have to wait and see. But look, yeah, that's visually getting a lot shorter now. And this is a difference as well when you're a rider. When you start to see that gap close, you just brake that little bit later. You just get on the gas that little bit earlier, don't you? Because you can physically see the difference in races.
Yeah, and these top 3 are miles ahead of the rest of the field, They're about 6 seconds ahead of Alberto Arenas in 4th. Mir's now 2 seconds back on Canet and about 1.6 seconds back on Balega. So I think he'll have to settle for 3rd here unless there's a bit of drama. We saw in France that Balega had obviously a high side, and then at the season opening in Portimao.
Big moment.
Yeah, and then in Portimao, Balega also had quite a nasty fall. So
but Mason rejoined, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, he did.
It was such a gap that he crashed out, got back on the bike. I think still finished 4th or something.
But Balega is now under half a second to Canet, so Balega is definitely motoring, and it seems like Balega these last few rounds has really found his mojo on that KTM. Maybe KTM bringing in 1 or 2 new parts as well.
So we have 1.5 laps to go as they come down the back straight. Balega, literally, he's got his bungee rope. If he could like a fishing rod, put it onto the back of Canet's bike, because he definitely is. Oh, look at the kind of concertina effect as they come into that corner. It's almost touching distance. this is going to be a dramatic last lap because, as we know, Balega, as we mentioned, he's not afraid of putting in any aggressive manoeuvres. And Canet, he's got to worry about his championship.
Balega is now right with him. Balega 0.2 of a second faster in that second sector. The gap now down to 0.3. Balega will be able to benefit from the slipstream.
And Canet's looking around. He knows he's there. He's starting to worry, and that plays on a rider's mind. Last lap, the last thing he wants is Balega piling into the back of him or anything like that. So he's now got that extra worry with the championship lead. Oh, this is interesting. And Mir, as you say, dropped off the back of these guys there, rate of knots. So it is down to these two. Can Balega close it up? They come onto the start-finish straight for the penultimate time. And what will the gap be as they cross the line?
Yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be really, really close. They come across the line, half a second gap, so Canada has responded in that final sector.
But Balega flies through the first couple of sectors, the first few corners even, and this is where he normally reduces the gap down by about 2/10. So let's have a little look. As you can see there, look, Balega closing that massively through turn 1 and turn 2 as he goes to the brakes.
Balega setting the fastest lap of the race at 1:45.651 on his second last lap. So, you know, clearly he's motoring, really enjoying that bike with a low fuel load.
Oh, look, he's so aggressive. I tell you, it's just a determination on Balega's face. He wants this now. There is no thought of his just thinking, oh, I'm going to settle for a podium because I've only had, well, he's had 3 podiums this year. No, doesn't even cross his mind.
Both of these two are pushing really hard, setting their personal best times through that first sector. Balega marginally quicker. I reckon Balega will try something sector 2, maybe the start of sector 3, and really push him. You know, turn 13, that's a nice tight right hand.
Just about to say turn 13.
He could really muck him up. Turn 14's a bit more fast and flowing, and if not, it's really down to turn 15, the last corner.
This is really tense now as we have Nicola Balega behind Aaron Canet, championship leader, with the man who is third in the championship and the man in third who's second, so it's a bit confusing. But Canet is managing to hold off Balega. Can he hold him off to the line?
Personal best sectors again for both of these riders. Right behind him. Look at Balega. Balega's just looking. Balega's just waiting for either Canet to make a small mistake or for him to just wait for a corner where he's just slightly a bit stronger.
Here we go then. Will Balega get a chance to make it? I think if there's a sniff of a chance, he'll whack it up the inside, even if it means he won't get it stopped. Look at that!
Oh,
and
come on.
Canet's run wide. But then Balega
bit of a moment there, yeah.
So.
Balega knows he's lost a bear. Yeah. Hand out, knows he's lost it, unfortunately.
And his
really good ride.
Do you know why? Because Canet had run wide on that last corner. It was Balega's there for taking, but a brilliant ride for Balega for second.
Yeah, really strong, really good ride from Mir in third. Unable to sit with him. That's the first time we've seen Mir finish lower than first.
Yeah, first time we've seen him finish when he's not been first. But Canet, 4th win of the season. He extends his championship lead by 9 points, in fact, over Juan Mir, with Balega closing the gap to Mir.
Yeah, really good ride, and I think maybe Balega saw that Canet had ran wide there. Really nice wheelie from Canet there. Maybe Balega had seen that Canet had ran wide and just got a bit too happy on the throttle with that bit of a twitch.
So let's just run down after Balega and Mir. It was Arenas in 4th, Pizzoli crossed the line in 5th, Messia at 6th, Arbolino 7th, Masecchi, soft tyre, Gamma played off, he's 8th. Senna Yamada, great ride from him in return for the Moto3 World Championship, building his confidence in 9th. Valtteri 10th, Palenko 11th, Kyril Parry in 12th, he'd be disappointed, Bo Benchnader in 13th, Petrarca 14th, and Darte took the last championship point. Great ride from Martin Van Horen for the KLP team, Rory Skinner's teammate. If you're wondering what happened to Rory Skinner, the British rider went from 21st on the grid up into 13th and was looking brilliant before unfortunately just losing the front in turn 14 with a few laps to go. Kaito Toba just crossing the line there in 19th after we'd seen Boulom and Kaplan 17th and 18th, and Adam Norrid in the final age talent team rider crossing the line in 20th. So brilliant Moto3 Junior World Championship race. Nicola Balega there. Valentino Rossi tipped that man, as a number of Italian riders he's got in his academy, as a star for the future, and you can see why his aggressive riding. If anything, he actually had the chance on that last corner to get up the inside of Canet, but just got on the gas too early. It was what we were saying earlier. When you see the rider in front of you, you just sometimes push it a little bit too much, got on the gas too early, lost the rear, and there was his moment for the victory. But oh, look at that. Nice rolling rear skid. Perfect stuff. And here is Mir. Now, this is Mir's first non-win finish, as we say. Mir, let's put it this way, won at Portimao, then crashed out at Le Mans and Barcelona, won the second race in Barcelona, won both races at Aragon, and then crashed out at Albacete. So the third place, the first time he's not finished in the top step of the podium this season, or recorded a DNF. So great result from Mir. And as we said to him, actually, we said at the start of the race, myself and Harry, he will be looking just to finish, even if he's not winning the race, because points are so essential now. We'll get a rundown on the championship situation in just a bit, but Canet obviously winning and having had a 34-point lead in the championship, sorry, 31-point lead in the championship, would have extended his lead even further. And there he is, look, happy man, 4th win of the season. We chatted to him, hey, look, he may be small, but he manages to pick up his mechanic Not bad for a young, I think he's only, is it 14, 15? Canet, that's pretty impressive. So, let's have a look at the full results. 15, Canet's apologies. Canet then taking the race win by 6/10 from Balega. Balega really, to say, could have almost got up the inside, taking the race win in the last corner, but Mir in third. Albert Arenas fourth, Pizzoli fifth, Shalma Masia dropping down to sixth. Arbolino leading that chasing group. He finishes in seventh, ahead of Basecci and Seni Iman, as I mentioned, great ride from the Japanese rider. In ninth, Stefano Valtellini in 10th, Polanco 11th, Powie 12th, the Dutchman Bo Benschneider, Red Bull Rookies champion this year in 13th, shows the skill and competition at this level. Petrarca 14th, Peter Darsley taking the last championship point. Kaito Toba, Adam Norrie, Noit Crisson and Juanjo Nunes rounding out the finishers, while Lawson Waters, Rory Skinner, Vicente Perez, David Sanchez and Lorenzo Dalla Porta had a massive high side right early on in the race. Luckily, Touchwood will get some good news, but hopefully he's okay. He managed to walk away from it, but he was holding his arm. But that is the end of your Moto3 Junior World Championship action for today. We're going to have some highlights, we'll do the podium, and then we get back into Superbike action. But there he is, Aaron Canet, wearing his first cap, deservedly as well. Fourth win of the season, matching Mir now with 4th wins, but he's also got a second and a third to his name, hence why he has a lead in the championship standings. Now, Harry would have made his way down there. He'd be trying to get his attention and say, Mr. Canet, come have a little chat with us. In Park Ferme, and as you can see, already got the flag sorted out on the podium. They're getting the fizzy water ready for the riders who aren't old enough, and a bit of Frixenet for the riders that are. I believe Balega probably old enough, so he actually gets to have some champagne. I'll just check that actually on Balega. I think he is now. Yeah, he's 18. No, I lie. I'm completely lying. He's 16. So maybe it's all fizzy water for the podium, which is something you have here in the CV Junior Moto3 World Championship. Here's Harry.
Really pushed to the end there.
Sí, la verdad es que ha sido una carrera bastante difícil porque Balega ha empezado a imprimir un buen ritmo desde el principio, yo también, nos hemos peleado al principio y poco a poco hemos ido mejorando, nos hemos adaptado al viento porque antes nos venía en contra y ahora en cara, no, perdón, en contra y ahora nos venía a favor. Y la verdad es que ha sido muy complicado porque se me cerraban las cerradas, las rápidas de detrás se me iba un poco y conforme he visto que Balega se podía acercar, se acercaba, la última vuelta he cerrado los ojos, he dado gas a fondo y aún así hemos podido hacer la victoria. Muchas gracias a mis patrocinadores, al equipo, porque sin ellos no hubiese podido seguir este fin de semana tan bueno, han trabajado siempre como los fueros de series que son y me encantan. La verdad es que son muy buen equipo y gracias a ellos. Y me gustaría dedicar esta victoria a mi abuelo, el Yayo, que está en casa viéndola y seguro que están mirándola. Muchas gracias.
Young 15-year-old there from Valencia. And as I mentioned, we talk about the progression in this championship. Last year, he was 23rd in the CV in his debut season. Now he's leading the championship. We'll get a points update in just a bit. First up, let's do the highlights. There is Shalma Masia, who started a different second row. Balega, though, would be the aggressor early on. Brilliant work from him. But it was Canet got a great start. Mir getting bogged down at the start, going sideways. While Canet got away at the front and Masia came through. Also Dalla Porta, look at Balega coming through into third there. Brilliant start from the Italian. Canet really not looking back though, and setting off at the front, taking the race win by over half a second, managing to break the slipstream in the process. There you see Balega coming past Mir, sort of involved in a great battle throughout the race, but Balega then dispose of the youngster and head off after Canet at the front. And it came down to what would be an incredibly dramatic, really, last few corners. And what I'm sure we'll see, as his team were telling him with 2 laps to go, they were like, right, you need to get a wriggle on, because here we go. Balega coming into the final corner. Mir ran wide. Look, sorry, Canet ran wide. Balega had the opportunity, but then just on the gas too early. Now, that's a classic example of what we were saying, Harry. You see the guy in front of you. Now, he knows he needed to wait a split second before getting on that gas, but you can't help it. You just see it till you feed it in, and felt the back go. But Canet, 4th win of the season, increases his championship lead, which we'll get an update on very shortly, and seemed very happy down there, Harry.
Yeah, he was overjoyed. You know, Balega was pretty satisfied as well. He knew that he'd made a small mistake, but you know, Balega was really pushing it 110% to try and catch Canet on that last lap. And Canet just saying in that interview there that, you know, that last lap was gas for him, and he was, you know, I think he was a bit unsure that he'd win that as well.
Well, if you look through the timing screens, you know, he actually, Canet did his fastest lap and the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, a 1:45.591. Balega was only 0.06 of a second exactly behind him. So both riders putting in ridiculously quick last laps. That's what you call definition of a brilliant finish to a race. Yeah,
it was a really, really good finish and a really great ride from all 3 riders. You know, Mir, he was pretty disappointed down there in Park Ferme. He obviously wanted more maybe there was 1 or 2 issues with the bike. The other thing I noticed while down there, that there's a lot of wind, which especially for these little Moto3 bikes is a big, big factor. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. The clouds are moving quite quickly, so...
Yeah, that wind's really picking up. We have got some rain clouds around, although we're starting to see a bit of sun break through. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's light in some areas, grey in others, and yeah. We've still got 2 more races for you, so don't go anywhere if you're sitting there on a Sunday afternoon enjoying this action. One more from Superbikes and another one from Moto2. But first we are about to see, as we say, the giant check come out for these young riders to celebrate the fact they get free fuel.
Yes,
I love the giant check. I keep going on about this. I don't know why.
And you can see at their feet there that Mir is the only one who gets the carver. Unfortunately, both Canet and Belega, neither of them even 16 yet. So
I was thinking it was Belega that was 18. Of course, you're right. It's Mir. Unbelievably, it's Mir who is the oldest. He is 18. Having just turned recently.
Yep. And now time for the Spanish national anthem once again for Canet on the top step of the podium there.
There you go, podium time there. Aaron Canet, 4th win of the season with Belega and Juan Mir. We'll have a little look at the championship and see what that's done to it now. My calculation, Canet should have, check this out, I'm not even going to try actually, my maths is that bad. I think it should be 36.9, maybe 30, I don't know. It's 36 or 35 over. Belega might have jumped into second. There'll be 1 point separating him.
I think Belega will just be 1 point behind in second.
There we go, the team manager for Estrella Galicia getting the fizzy water dunking. There is only one race in Moto3 today. The Grid Girl managing to get out the way in time.
Fizzy water might actually be worse than the carver, I think.
Yeah, actually, that probably would be sticky. At least the carver you could probably look off you, and it wouldn't be so bad. Yeah. I've got to admit, actually, the Grid Girls here are masters of avoiding getting sprayed by champagne. They're a bit sneaky.
To be fair, it is really cold out there. You know, everyone down in pit lane does have their jackets on, and you know, there's lots of people with beanies on as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the conditions play out. But first, the championship standings.
Let's have a look. So I reckon about 36. 40 points.
40 points, 156 for Canet. Mir still in second, 116, just 1 ahead of Nicolo Belega, 115. Powie, 93. Alberto Arenas in 5th, solid result for him. Big Bag Bo Benchnote at 73, 6th overall. Jaume Messia 7th, Valtellini 8th, and Lorenzo Della Porta in 9th despite his DNF.
So with 100 points left, Canet, 40-point advantage. No way is that championship decided. Belega has definitely put himself back in amongst the mix there. I knew there'd be a point separating him and me. Apologies for my mathematics. It's all done on the fly here in the team. But yeah, that great stuff from Canet. He's got a commanding lead. But Mir and Belega, they know that with 4 rounds left to go, they can still have a huge part to play this championship. And you know, it's definitely not done and dusted yet.
Yeah, and a nice mix of bikes in that top 10 as well, you know. Some KTMs, some Hondas, some Husqvarnas, but then Semi Yamada in 10th. Solid result from him to bump him up into that top 10 spot ahead of Pizzoli, Petrarca, Bezzecchi, and Van Haren.
Mike Van Haren, though, as you say, Rory Skinner's teammate. Shame for Rory Skinner, really, wasn't it? Potential. Showed his class out there, and we talk about this being a showcase. 14 years of age, from 21st to 13th on the grid, looking really kick. Just pushed it a little bit too hard going into turn 14 and lost the front. It's a shame there's not a race 2 today for Moto3 guys, because I think we'd have had a chance to see him do some excellent work as well. And just recapping there, Sanchez in 19th, Boulop 20th, Maximilian Kapler in 21st, Simon Danilo, who's not here this weekend, in 22nd, Van Leeuwen again not here, Alex View, Ralph Fernandez, Gerald Brew, and Adam Norridin. Lawson Waters, the Australian there, at the bottom of 28th with the solitary championship for Australia.
Yep. Unfortunate result for Walters, as we saw crashing out quite early in the race. But now all of our attention does turn back to the Superbikes again for their second race of the day. We had a very interesting one in race 1. Hopefully it'll be a bit calmer, but hopefully it'll be just as exciting.
It's a little bit dramatic, to say the least. So just to recap what happened in race 1, the riders were on the grid. We'll get some highlights actually probably very shortly, and then it started to rain. They made the decision to go to wets. A couple of riders went with slicks and it was the right one. Weather-wise, as we prepare for the Superbike European Championship Race 2, well, it's looking okay out there. It's windy and it's grey, but we don't have any more rain, which is the important thing here at Navarra. And, well, Carmelo Morales, we've realised he can't win the championship this weekend, but he can put it to bed, can't he, with a winning race 2?
Yeah, even with even if you were to DNF, it would still be a pretty big advantage for him. As we said earlier, unfortunately, Ivan Silva injured his right foot while practicing for the Bol d'Or 24-hour endurance race, so he's out of that. And Silva was really the only one who could realistically challenge Morales. Both on track and in terms of points, Morales has really been a class above for much of this year.
And just to remind you, if you want to catch up with any more information about the Moto3 Championship, find out about the riders, the future rounds, we do have 2 Moto3 races on the 1st of November at Jerez and 2 Moto3 races on the 15th of November at Valencia. Just head to fimcvrepsol.com. All the information about the championship is there. Rider profiles, results going back throughout the years, isn't it? If you want to see the list of champions, for instance, coming through from the Moto3, the lightweight class of the last few years, which honestly reads like a who's who from the World Championship, you can go check that out. And as Harry said, we're now gearing up. We've got 2 more races for you today. The Moto2 European Championship coming up later on after 4 o'clock. But up next, it is the Superbike European Championship Race 2. Can Morales get back on the top step of the podium? We'll find out in a second.